I've been a therapist and coach for almost 15 years now, and at this point I've worked with thousands of clients, and if there's one thing I've learned, it's this. My job is not to give you advice, to solve your problems, or tell you what to do. My role is to guide you, it's to support you, and it's to coach you to your next level. That's how you grow. And even if I did want to tell you what to do or quote unquote give you the answer, I do not, because that would bypass the work. That would disrupt your process and honestly make me a shitty coach. But today, I'm breaking that rule. There is a trend going around on Instagram right now, and I think it's something along the lines of the advice I would give you if I wasn't afraid to hurt your feelings. And for me, today, it's going to be the advice I would give you if I wasn't afraid to not only hurt your feelings, but lose my job, be unprofessional, or disrupt your process. So here it is. I'm going to be sharing 5 things I would tell you if I wasn't your coach or therapist. These are my unfiltered thoughts that I know could move you forward faster if you let them. Now, before we dive in, yes, this still is a coaching podcast, and 99% of these episodes, I am breaking down and teaching you the psychology, science, and actual tools to help you coach yourself and your clients better. But I still do actively work with one-on-one clients as well. Just a handful, 10 to be exact, every single year. And usually those spots are booked for the year, and I don't open my books often. But for the first time in 2025, I'm opening my books for one-on-one coaching. So if what I'm about to say lands with you, I'll throw the link in the show notes for you to grab your complimentary consultation. But let's go ahead and dive in. Starting with number 1. I'm coming hard, y'all. Leave him. Or them. I know this one is loaded, but I have watched so many women and just clients in general spend years in contemplation, trying to figure out whether they should stay or go. And it's this ping-ponging back and forth for way too long. Here's the thing. Contemplation is an important stage of change, and it does have its purpose, but it is not meant to be a permanent station, okay? It is meant to be moved through so that you can get into preparation to make a decision and then make that decision, take action, and not turn back around and reconsider the decision to keep moving forward with the decision that was made. But I get it. This is a really hard decision, and so when you're making a decision like this around a relationship, you want to use both your brain and your heart. You want to consider what are your thoughts about this relationship and what are you feeling. Both are equally important. I see a lot of times people will be impulsive and they'll make solely emotional decisions and disregard logic or ignore the red flags, or the opposite. They'll make solely intellectual decisions, but emotionally they weren't actually behind that decision, and so they boomerang and end up back in the relationship. So it's a combination of both. And you also want to look at the data. This is another thing I see when I'm coaching clients on relationships. You want to actually look at the evidence, and you don't want to make decisions based off of the hope, the potential of what could happen, or what you secretly want or wish, or what they're promising. Look at the data. What evidence do you have that you can make a decision off of? And you want to make a decision from the present, not the past and the time invested and the fear of wasting more time in the future, but also not the future and your hopes and desires and wishes and dreams for what it could be or what they're saying. You want to look at the data, you want to look at the evidence, and you want to make a decision that is best for you today. I have so much more to say here, but let's move on number 2. Okay, this podcast isn't about relationships. You want to be more decisive. Stop waiting for the perfect decision. Just make a freaking decision. That perfect decision is a unicorn. It low-key doesn't even exist, and it's absolutely not worth the extra mental drain and time wasted waiting around for it. And this is something I've learned after making tons of decisions personally and professionally in my adult life, is that there are very few decisions that are irreversible. There's like 2. It's giving and taking a life. Other than that, you can always pivot later. You can always course correct. Now, hear me when I say this. It's pivot or course correct, not go back into the decision over and over again. It is pivot and course correct and keep moving forward. Because when you do that, you'll probably learn things about yourself and about the situation and gather information and learn lessons that you can apply to make that decision even better over time. So instead of waiting for the quote unquote right choice, focus on making a good enough decision right now with the information that you have. This has been a mantra for my life, so I'm going to say it again, and it's helped so many of my clients actually achieve their goals a lot quicker and not revert backwards. It's make a good enough decision right now with the information you currently have, and then put your energy into making that decision work. Because being indecisive is not free. A lot of times people think just contemplating and being indecisive doesn't cost them anything. They're just waiting and nothing's happening, but it actually is very expensive mentally, emotionally, and literally. It can cost you opportunities. So Just make a decision and then make that the right decision. And speaking of decisions, this takes me to my hard truth number 3. Proceed as if things will work out, not the opposite, okay? Now, are things gonna work out perfectly? No, I'm not Delulu and I don't preach toxic positivity, but if you operate it from that belief, as if things would work out, right? Your success was inevitable, you could pivot or figure it out or find a way if you needed to, how would you show up differently? Wouldn't you make different choices if that was the guiding thought in place of fear and doubt and hesitancy and scarcity of what if it doesn't work out, or what if there's a better time, or what if there's a better person, versus what if things worked out? What if my success was inevitable? What if I could trust myself to figure it out? You would move differently versus the alternative, which is waiting for certainty and perfection before acting. Your dreams will die quietly in that place. It is like limbo. I don't know about you, but I do not want to die with potential. And if you're listening to this podcast, I don't think you want to either, okay? And I also don't want to settle for what's available. I want to go after what I actually want. And I know I have healthy expectations that it's not going to be a straight, clear, or perfect path to the end zone, but I trust that following the breadcrumbs, I will eventually get to a loaf of bread. And what that means is that I will make a good enough decision with the information I have right now, and I will proceed as if things will work out, even when I experience challenges, setbacks, or failures. Which takes me to tip number 4. If I could just say it flat out, stop giving your power to your circumstances. Knock it off. Like I said, I was going to get real with you guys today. You do not have control over most things in your life, especially external things like people, places, things, the economy, your boss, politics, the weather. But you do have control over how you choose to respond and where you choose to put your mental, emotional, and literal energy. In psychology, we call this a locus of control. And let me talk a little bit about it. There's an internal one and an external one. And the more that you live in your external locus of control, meaning you give your power to things external of you, my life, my happiness, my decisions, the quality of my life is determined by things outside of my control. My life depends on what happens to me. You are at higher risk for depression and anxiety because you're just going to live in a state of hopelessness. You're not going to feel empowered. You're not going to consider your options, and you're just going to get stuck and stay there. Versus if you can cultivate an internal locus of control, okay, I have influence over how this impacts me. I have choices here. What would be best for me? The more capable and confident you're going to feel. And if you are listening and you're like, whoa, I think I have an external locus of control, it's not a death sentence. You can build an internal locus of control. And the bigger your external locus of control, the smaller the internal one, but the bigger the internal one, the smaller the impact of the external locus of control. Remember this, your power comes from your choices, not your circumstances or the control of them. All right, guys, here's number 5 for you. Stop cock blocking your own success. Get out of your own way. I can't tell you how many times I have to listen to clients tell me about all the things that are the reasons and justifications and rationalizations as to why they can't get the result. And I'm looking dead at the reason. It's them. Yes, again, like I just talked about, there are circumstances that might make it harder, but those circumstances do not make it impossible. Nothing is impossible when you commit to getting it done. And so how this shows up is that when clients get scared or nervous, they think something's wrong. No, that's good. That means that you're about to grow, okay? Clients will feel nervous or scared or worried or unsure, and they give that feeling the power. And what they end up doing is they protect their feelings, but they sacrifice their growth. You're going to feel scared. Welcome to the club, okay? Anyone who's successful has felt scared, okay? It's fine. You're also probably going to mess up. Also totally part of the course. Everyone does, but it's not about failing. It's about failing forward. The people who win don't sit around and wait to feel confident, wait to feel clear, wait to feel ready. They start practicing courage. They cultivate that feeling of doing it scared, doing it unsure, doing it before they're ready, because that courage is going to create the clarity and confidence you're waiting for, not the other way around. So get out of your own way, take a few messy steps, stay in your lane, learn from the failure, and just keep moving forward as your purpose reveals itself to you. Because hint, this is another thing, if I had a little tip 6, your purpose is not going to be delivered perfectly in a box with a bow on your doorstep. It's not going to hit you outside of your head one day while you're on a walk or appear to you in a dream. It reveals itself to you as you take action. So if you're trying to figure out your purpose, Start taking action. You'll figure it out along the way. So I hope you guys can see today was a little bit different, but these 5 truths, leave them sooner, be more decisive, proceed as if it would work out, stop giving power to your circumstances, and stop cock blocking your own success. These are things that I low-key wish I could tell every client. I won't, but I could say them here on the podcast. So you probably know each of these on some level, but knowing isn't the same as acting. So which one really resonated with you today that you were committed to taking action on, and see the progress you can make as a result? And if you want this type of coaching where we actually apply these things in real time, where we audit, we redesign, we evaluate your life, and we build the courage and the mindset and the habits with no fluff, no bullshit to create the life you want without the burnout, without the sacrifice, without the settling, this is exactly what I do with my one-on-one coaching clients for 3 and 6 months. And for the first time in all of 2025, I have availability in my schedule, which I'm super excited about, welcoming on new clients. These spots will not last. They go very quick. So if you're interested, apply. I'll throw the link in the show notes. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. As always, please show us some love, y'all. Give us 5 stars, leave us a review, share us on your socials, and make sure to subscribe so you never miss another episode to help you master the art and skill of coaching.